component of the AWS. There are three components we talked about: region, availability zone, and the respective data center. Region means that the AWS in itself, or the cloud provider guys in itself, is physically present there, right? And if it is physically present there, so definitely for sure you can deploy respective resources inside it. So it, what it does, it definitely for sure it is good for the compliance part, because if my customer, or I would say my client, is in France, right? So definitely for sure I will be deploying in AWS region in France or just near to it, so that the GDPR compliance is fulfilled up in place, right? And the latency is less as well. That's the case, correct? So that's a benefit we have into the region part. Easy is that I would say every region is being broken down. Every region, okay, it's broken down into multiple availability zone. Fine. So I hope everyone is clear with the region part. Fine. Just this world map I want to show it to you quickly. Okay, for the revision purposes. Okay, here it is. You can look into it. I just zoomed up here by itself. Fine. This is the world map you're seeing it up. Here, every green dot you're seeing it up, this green dots represent that the AWS is physically present there, right? That is thing. So you can see that they are almost present in um, most of the countries. Fine. Okay. That's the case. Correct. Like in India, you can see it up like in Mumbai when it was launched in 2016. Almost it's been about to 10 years. Okay. And in Hyderabad, it's in 2022. Okay. And in US, multiple locations up in place, and in Australia as well as in New Zealand. This red dot represent they are coming soon. Like they are in a process to launch it up. So like they can imagine like the database is under construction, or they're just kind of working with local authorities for some kind of a regulation. Means very shortly, in a month or two, they will be launching it up here at best. So like in New Zealand or in Saudi, right, or in, let's suppose, in Germany, fine, and where else, in Chile. So these are like the places where they are coming soon up, and it's like just in 1 or 2 months they will be operational. Okay, that is what a region is all about. Fine. Okay, so let's suppose, for example, I choose respectively in my particular case the Mumbai region. This region, correct? Because right now I'm in India, so it makes sense for me that if I want to create a respective server and I want to interact with the respective server, so I should make it closer to me, right? So that the latency is very less. Why should I create a server in Tokyo or in Japan, which is far apart, and latency would be much higher? So definitely, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the Mumbai region. Okay, let's do that, and let me show it to you in the console part as well. See it up here. This is the respective console you have. A lot of things you will be able to see it up in place. These are some of the respective services which I have recently used up in place. Okay. Now I scroll it up at the top. Okay. So here you can see it up in place, right? Right now where I am North Virginia. Okay, guys. Before jumping into it, I want to switch from North Virginia to the Mumbai region. Okay. But here by itself, you see that it says root, right? Root account means that in this respective case, everything is allowed by default, right? As Nagvi saying admin, absolutely. So this is it. So here by itself, the person would have not have any kind of restriction. So it is something which is very, very sensitive. It's not like in the company you will be distributing the credential of the root account to anyone randomly. Okay, because if you do that and someone literally logs in that particular situation, guys, what's going to happen up is he will be logging in here, and then he have no restrictions. He can do anything. He can see any data, decrypt any file which we don't want, right? Only few people in the organization should have this respective power. Okay, fine. I'm North Virginia. I want to switch it to the from North Virginia. Okay, I'm switching it from this North. Just a minute. From this North Virginia to the Mumbai region. Okay, that's the thing. So in this respective case, I just see Mumbai region is there. I click into it. Okay, I am in the Mumbai region, right? Simple. That's it. Okay. Now you can see at the top it says Mumbai. So I am now virtually present in the Mumbai region. Okay, great. This is the region, guys. Okay, fine. Now let's take this region as the reference. Okay, this is the respective region you have in place. Great. And now what we're going to do is that this is a region, right? Let's suppose, for example, in my particular case, what's the region I have preferred? It's Mumbai. Almost all the time, the infrastructure, guys, remains the same. This is region, it is Mumbai region. Fine. Okay. Now, what is going to happen up in this respective cases? Every region, and this is not something that is under my control or under your control. Just keep in mind that this is how the architecture has been created. Fine. So a respective region you have in place would be broken down and in multiple segments you have in place. Fine. That's the case. So let's suppose, for example, what we have is this region is there, and I will be just breaking it down. Option one, okay. This is a region, and every region, I repeat, every region you're seeing in this respective map is being broken down into something which is called the availability zone. That is what an AZ is all about. AZ, right? And I just want to give it the name AZA, or let's say AZ1, AZ2, and AZ3. So you have three AZs up in place: AZ1, 2, and the respective 3 up in place. Fine. Okay. This is what it is all about. And another very interesting thing which I just want to reveal it to you, what is actually happening up in the AZ part. Okay. So what else we have? Let's suppose, for example, network, power. Fine. Just a minute. Yeah, cooling. Just give me a minute, guys. Okay, let me just make it a little bit more elaborate. And then within a minute, you will be understanding it why AWS has created the infrastructure in a such a manner, right? So let me just highlight this thing. Okay, perfect. Now, here is the interesting part, guys. You can look into it. Now we have this three AZs up in place: AZ1, AZ2, and the respective, right? AZ1, AZ2, and the respective AZ3 you have in place. Fine. Okay. Now you will say that, Amit, but why we need an AZ? We already have a region like a Mumbai, North Virginia, whatever it is. Why we need to have an availability zone, man? Right? What's the thing with it? I would say availability zones are for the redundancy. I would say, Nag, it is protection from the failover. Backup, Sridham, uh, kind of, okay, not exactly, kind of we can say it up in place, okay, because when we say about backup, we are saying about the data part, but redundancy is all about, uh, backup is a part of redundancy, I would say. Redundancy means that how well your respective infrastructure is able to handle any kind of a failure. And backup is a part of it. So when you're saying backup, you're absolutely correct. Backup is part of it. Fine. Okay. Inverter is also part of it. Correct. If you have an inverter, definitely for sure what it means. Okay. What it says that is if uh, if the power is failed, the main line power you're getting it from the transformer to your house, it fails up in place, you have an inverter. That's also redundancy, right? How well it is able to handle it up in place in any kind of a failure. It definitely it has its own set of limitations, but that is also comes under the redundancy part, right? So redundancy is a very big thing. Like you're talking about power backup into it up in place, network backup. That's also should be the case. Let's suppose I just give you an example. When I started the session, everything was perfectly fucking fine. Okay. And the moment I said that welcome everyone, good evening, this and that, correct? Suddenly in the go to it was showing it up network, like internet speed low, something like that. Okay. So something I think like in my local area, the weather is not good, the Wi-Fi is not able to catch it up in place. Fine. Suddenly started giving me a problem up in place. So I immediately opened up a backup, okay, like a hotspot in my mobile phone, and through that, which I'm taking up a session right now. That is also part of the redundancy only. Okay, so it's network redundancy. Fine, it's power redundancy you have in place. Okay, that's it. So here by itself, it is what you have done is that you have a region, like you can just imagine Mumbai region or a Hyderabad region or like Saudi they are coming up as well, in Australia, in US, any region. The infra again I repeat, the infrastructure remains as it is. Fine. There is no difference in up in place. I can literally change it from Mumbai to North Virginia, and I will be absolutely correct. I'm not doing any kind of a I'm not making any incorrect statement into it up in base. All the regions are exactly the same. Okay, so that's the thing. Fine. Now here you have in place. So, but now the question arises, Amit, why we have this AZs, right? So first of all, before jumping into it, I can tell you a respective use case of that. Just this thing, keep in mind that in the Mumbai region you have three AZs. AZ1, AZ1 you have in place, right? AZ1 would have separate networking, power, cooling. Fine. And the AZ1 would be absolutely 100 kilometers away from the AZ2. This is the AZ2, which will have separate network, power, cooling, and this is also 100 kilometers away from the AZ3 up in place, right? Okay. So this is the case. Because why power cooling and these are different? Because let's suppose, for example, if there is a power failure and this AZ is down, guys, in that case, the two AZs are operational. Redundancy, correct? That's the case. Okay. You have something to rely upon at the end of the day. So that's what the whole logic is all about. Can you tell me what would be the logic behind this 100 kilometers part apart? These are three data centers. I would, Ram, say data center is a little bit different concept. Okay, we are right now only talking about the availability part. Data concept, like don't think about data center right now, please, please. Okay, we're just talking about availability zone, guys. Fine. Okay, data center is the third component. We are just right now only the easy one in place. Okay, so why they are 100 kilometers? What's the reason for that? If any kind of a natural calamity or any kind of an issue arises up in place in that particular part, that would be not be affecting other areas up in place, right? That's the whole issue. Okay, so if let's suppose, for example, there is some storm, lightning, or earthquake, right, in this part, this will definitely, for sure, as a precautionary measure or anything like that, will be affected or will be shut down, right? Exactly, Raku, there's a tolerance. But AZ2 and AZ3 are far apart. 100 kilometers is a lot of distance, right? They are in a well good situation, so they will be operational. Okay, that's the thing. So this is what you have here by itself. Okay, the concept of the respective AZs. Okay, now another very interesting thing you will see that, okay, Amit, where I can see the AZ, you cannot see the AZ. AWS don't give any kind of a transparency about the availability zone, guys. They tell you that, okay, that this is the map, right? This is the official page of the AWS, and here by itself, I'm able to see all the respective region. Great, but I'm not able to see any availability zone. AWS does not allows you to see that in place, right? Okay, and somewhere down the line, somewhere you have this little bit of a control that you can deploy your respective So somewhere down the line, what actually happens up is that they give you the respective control to deploy the server in any of it. It will say that, okay, you want to create a server S1, where you want to deploy it in AZ1, AZ2, AZ3. Fine. Let's suppose I say AZ3. Okay, fine. But they will never tell me that, okay, in the entire Mumbai region where the AZ3, AZ2, and AZ1 is there. They have just told that, okay, in India, only two places the AWS is present, in Hyderabad and in the Mumbai region. Okay, and there as well, AZ1, 2, and 3 are present. They are not actually not telling the accurate location of it. Okay, that's the thing. Because of the security reasons again. Right, perfect. So this is what we have here. We have in this respective part. Okay, and then we have after the AZ part, we have something which is called by the name of a data center. Okay, this is an pick of the respective data center, right? Data center, guys, is the place where actually the magic takes place, right? That is what we have in the respective data center. Okay, so this is the hierarchy we have. Fine. First, what we have is we have our respective data center. Okay, multiple data centers combined together to form one. I would say here, first of all, many data centers combined together to form your respective easy, right? One easy, one availability zone. This is the hierarchy I'm talking about. Fine, one easy, and then multiple AZs combined together to form one respective region. As we have seen it up, multiple AZs combined. Let me just remove it. Like this will be confusing for you guys. Okay, so just a minute. So data center is there, AZ is there, the region is there. Okay. In this respective part, what is actually going on? The you know, it's going to the region part in place. Fine. Multiple AZs combined together to form a region, and multiple regions combined together to form what? AWS global infrastructure. That is what they are doing it up here by itself. AWS global infra. Fine, everyone. This is the whole story, right? So we have the respective data center, the AZ is there, the region, and the respective global infrastructure. Here by itself, you're seeing it up. This is the entire global infrastructure, the footprint of the AWS. Okay, that's the thing. And they are consist of these regions. Each region consists of this availability zone, and this respective availability zone in themselves contain multiple data centers. So if I just want to show it to you through a diagram, let me just remove it because you're not aware about it. I would say DC data center, DC1, data center 1, DC data center 2, sorry, uh, data center 3, data center 4. This is the whole thing up in place. So multiple data centers combined together to form an AZ. Fine. Multiple AZs combined to form a region. Multiple regions combined together to form a perspective infrastructure up in place. So this is the whole thing we have in this respective part. Fine, in the AWS global infrastructure. So to make it a little bit more interesting, guys, this setup, I would say, let's take this setup up in place. Okay, I'm just copying this respective diagram. And I'm going to take it to the day 2. Okay, here it is. Now in this respective part, definitely we are going to talk about compute services. One of the computing services we have in place, which is called by the name of the EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, right? So EC2 is a service, first of all, No, it's not the instance, not the virtual machine. Incorrect, right? Okay. That's literally the confusion many kids have up in place. What is an EC2? It's a service. It is not the instance. It is the service. It is the service, fine, okay, which is there to create a lot of stuff. The service that is used to create, manage, right, the instances means your respective server, okay, your, I would say, your load balancer, fine, your auto scaling group, and etc etc, fine. So it's a service you have in place inside the respective EC2, and you can use it to perform a lot of things, right? To create and manage your servers, so load balancers, auto scaling group, EMI, right, ENI, and you name it up. The list goes on and on and on, right? Okay. So EC2, it stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. So let me see, let's go to that. Let's say, for example, I want to go to the respective EC2. Fine, here we have. So I just go to the EC2 right now. And remember, I'm in the Mumbai region, okay? Fine. Here by itself, you can see it up in place is that um, nothing is there. Fine. Okay. I'm going to launch the instance, launch the server. I'm just creating the servers. A lot of things you can do with it, this thing, as I mentioned to you, but we are just only talking about creation of the respective instance. Let me just give the name of the server. Server 1, perfect, AMI. Okay. Now here is the interesting part which you need to focus upon. When you're creating up the server into the AWS, right, as you mentioned by itself, like what we have the software and the hardware. Fine. The software and the hardware. So so sorry. Software you have in place, guys, it is called the AMI in the language of the AWS. I repeat, a software is called the AMI. Okay. What is and hardware is called then? The hardware you have here by itself, guys, it is called your respective instance type. Fine. So this is the software. This is the hardware, right? And this is what's going on in this respective case. Fine. So here by itself, from now onwards, whenever you use the AMI, Amazon Machine Image, it means the operating system. Okay, that's the case. So yeah, let's proceed further with it. And I just choose the Windows one. See, you can, these are the catalog. These are not the actual operating system. These are the catalogs you have in place. Like Linux, Mac, Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat, SUSE Linux, right? Okay, Debian. I'm choosing Windows one in place because many of you would be familiar with it. So I'm choosing the Windows one. And now this is the catalog, and now this is actually the operating system. If I click into it, see that so many operating system. If I click into Amazon Linux for a moment, now see all these different Linux are there. Okay, so I'm just clicking into the catalog, and here it is. I will choose, let's suppose, for example, 2022 base. Let's keep it. Okay, and scroll it down. It says the instance type. What the instance type is? Hardware configuration. It's T2 micro. T2 micro means containing 1 core of CPU, 1 GB of RAM. That's it. And for the login part, we need to create a respective key. I'm not going into much of a detail about this respective key part because that will take a humongous amount of time. So we'll not be going into it up in place. Just simply, I'm going to click into create a new key pair. Okay. And just enter the key. Okay. And keeping everything as it is and click into launch the instance. Simple as it is. Okay. I click back and you see that now a server is there, one with this ID, and it is in a pending state. It will take a time. I would say that at least it will take 2 or 3 minutes up in place. Okay. So in meanwhile, right, let's wait for it, guys. Okay. Kind of a disadvantage, guys, you can think about is you have to keep on refreshing it up. Let me refresh it. Okay, now it says, see here, running up in place. Okay, so now your question should be that, Amit, should I proceed with it? How should I act with it? I would say no, man. So you see here, status check, initiating. We have to wait for this as well, and within a minute I will be telling you what this is all about. Okay. Okay, now it says that status check 2 by 2 check passes. Instance running means that the server is in a normal state. Fine. That's what we have in this respective part. And the status check means that 2 by 2 check pass means that the server that the AWS has been providing it to you is in a stable state. That is what we have in the status check part. Got it? That's it into it up and okay. Fine. So instance state means it's in a running state. Check means that it's in a stable position you have in place. Fine. Okay. That's great. Perfect. So the server we have, guys, is now deployed in Mumbai region. If I just take this graph once again here by itself, in this respective part, you see this dot, okay, Mumbai. Here, my respective server has been launched up in place. I can literally launch it in any part of the world. I'm just showing it to you that's up in place. Okay. So this is what we have in this respective part, the server part. Okay, perfect. Now what I'm going to do in this respective cases, guys, once the server is being created, fine. If I look into it up in place, you see that option of an availability zone. It says AP South 1. AP South 1 means Mumbai. Okay, that's the code of it. And B, it means the server has been created here by itself. Server 1. Okay, guys, this is the respective server that is created in the respective AZ zone 2. Okay, this is the one you have here by itself. Okay, perfect. Now you can just a minute look into it up in place, right? So that gives you the respective little bit of a clarity that the server is deployed up in the region Mumbai and into the AZ be up in place. Fine. Okay, great. And you can set up the alarms as well. So guys, what do you think? What's the purpose of an alarm would be all about? Anyone any sort of an idea about that? What would be the purpose of the alarm would be? That why there's an option of an alarm. So here we have this thing here by itself. So the server has been created up in place. Fine. Okay. Now what we're going to do in this respective part is I'm going to connect to this respective server. Let's do that. Let's this connection part in place, right? So I connect up in place. This is the connection you see it up here. Connect. Okay. So here you have the session manager, RDP client, EC2 control access up in place. So we'll be using up the RDP one in place. Okay. We will not be downloading any remote desktop file up in place because we already have that. So I'll go back to my respective server and now I will be connecting to my server through the RDP. There are multiple other ways for that as well, but we're just sticking with right now with the respective RDP we have in place, right? Okay. So just let me just open up the RDP. Here it is, right? First of all, what we need to do is that we need to enter the IP of it. So let me just change it. Let me connect it. Okay, just a minute. It is now asking me about my respective username and the password. Fine, let me just get it up. I don't have a respective username and a password, so I need it. So let's suppose, for example, what we need to do is I just click into it and get Windows password. Fine, and you need to upload it up in place. Okay, so just give me a minute, guys. Let me just upload it up. I have to select the respective key which I have created right now. And I click it, and this is the respective username, and this is the password you have. Fine. Okay. I know that I'm doing a lot of the steps up in place, and it will definitely for sure you guys would be missing it up, right? It's not practically possible for that in a short webinar. We can have a detailed step by step up in place. Okay. So I would say first of all, just understand the crux, the summary of what we are creating, why we are creating, what kind of a benefit it's providing to us. Fine. That's the whole purpose. Okay. In a proper session, when we have a proper session, there by itself we go in step by step in detail why this is happening, why that is happening up in place, right? So that's the thing. Okay. So I just want you to just get a crux of it, right? Just kind of a summary. Okay. So I need to have a username and a password in order to connect to the respective server. And here I'm getting it up. Okay. I just need to copy and paste. Simple as it is. Fine. Click into the OK part. And yes, and in a minute you are connecting to the server. Okay. That's the thing. Okay. Let's give it a little bit of a more time onto it. Okay. Why we are just so you get question could be at, I mean, is it not fast enough, like, we have to wait a minute or two. The thing here is that the hardware that you have defined or selected for this respective server, man, is very very basic. Okay. And definitely for sure, if the hardware processing, the RAM is very basic, it will not be able to handle much of the complicated task. Correct. So in this respective part, what the whole idea is, will be patient with it. If you want to increase the performance, you have to select more advanced hardware configuration. But if you do that, then the bill would be even more. Okay, that's the case. Fine. So here we have this respective part. I just click into the yes part, and guys, here we have this thing in place. So this is the server which is deployed in the Mumbai region. I can literally, with the same set of steps, can deploy it up in Tokyo, in any other region across the globe, based upon the requirement of my respective client. Right? That's the case. That's the whole thing we have in this respective part. Clear everyone with this respective thing? Like what we have achieved in this respective part, the summary of it. I know that it's a lot of steps up in place. Don't worry about that. Okay. Um, as I mentioned to you, it's a very short session, so we cannot go with step by step up in place. But you get up an idea that what we have deployed up in place. We have literally deployed a server using up the EC2 Elastic Compute Cloud, a server in the Mumbai region up in place. Okay, that's the thing. Fine. And then a lot of other activities you can do inside it. You can just create the file, store it up in place, this and that, a lot of things. Fine. So this is what we have in this respective part. So this is the respective server. You're seeing it up right in front of you. Okay. And guys, remember one thing: the AWS does not really care about the name. You can just put the name anything. It will not be worrying about it. It only concern is the ID. ID is very very important. Okay. So it identifies your respective server through the ID you have in place. So this is what we have in this respective case. Then you can install the application inside it, and this is, and a lot of plenty of things you can do inside it. Fine. So this is what we have in the server part. And just to this two terms is super important. Software is called the, or I would say, like an operating system would be good, right? Operating system is called the AMI. Hardware configuration of the server in the context of the AWS is called the instance type. Okay, that's the case. Great. So I hope this makes sense to you. Fine. And this is the server up in place. If this server keep on running it up, definitely for sure, guys, you will be charged at the end of the day. So what you need to do is you need to stop it. So you see the option stop, start, reboot. There's an option of terminate. Terminate means delete, remove everything from this respective server up in place, right? Okay, that's the case. So this is what we have in this respective part. Okay, fine. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to delete this respective one. I'm going to terminate the server. So see, it's now shutting down. Termination means gone. I'm removing the server. So then I don't want to be charged with it. It will take a time. So I would say that whenever it comes to the cloud part, guys, whether it's AWS, Azure, or GCP, little bit be patient with it, right? Don't rush, I would say. Okay. And termination means, again, I'm repeating, it will be gone. Many people think that, again, this is also kind of a myth we have when it comes to the AWS. Many people say that, man, Amit, Can I stop the server? Is it fine? I would say, yeah, you can do it up in place. You can stop the server, no doubt into it, but it will not be free. You will be charged for it. Okay, that's the case. Correct. So you should be aware about it, that you will be charged for the respective server when you stop it up in place. Okay, so it's better to terminate it. Terminate means it's gone. So you see, guys, if I refresh it up, it's terminated. Means the server has been gone up in place. After like 30 minutes, something like that, it will be removed from my account as well. Okay, so this is how you create the server, or technically we call it the instance, into the AWS. Right? I hope this makes sense to you. Perfect. Now, so this is what we have in this respective part, the EMI. And see, if I click into the EMI part, remember I'm in the Mumbai region, I can, a lot of things I can do it up in place, right? I can create a load balancer. I can create an auto scaling group. Let's suppose, for example, there is a website like, I would say right now, let's take an example of Amazon.com. Okay, it's a global platform, so you should all should be aware about it. The Amazon, fine. Okay. Now, in a normal situation, in a normal days when there is no festival, there is no Black Friday, nothing is there, correct? In that respective part, how things works up. Let's say in an Amazon server, on normal days, 500 people are coming up. Okay, good, great. Now, what actually happens up here by itself is when 500 people are coming, it's fine. But now, from tomorrow onwards, a festival is coming up. Okay, and we all know that whenever it's a festival season, definitely for sure the sales skyrockets, correct? And that is the case. So I now need some additional resources, and how will I be having it up? In that respective part, I need to have an automation for it. Automatically, when the number of individual increases, what I want is the server should be increased up as well. What I mean by that is this. Let's suppose, for example, if this is the server one, it can handle 500 individuals. Fine, in a normal day. But when let's suppose, for example, now 1,000 people are coming up. So how to handle it up? I want that automatically another server would be created up as well to handle it, or some additional other servers as well. This is called, guys, auto scaling. Automatically create the servers, fine. And now when the festival service is over after 7 days, when the traffic is back to the 500 people, this server, the additional servers which were created automatically will be resolved. You're back to the, and this everything happens up, guys, automatically. So this is what we have in this respective part. Okay, great. So yeah, a lot of things. See, that's the reason I told you up in place that EC2 is not the instance. EC2 is a service which is used to create the instance, and a ton of things, a lot of things you can create with it up in place, right? Okay, with respective EC2. Perfect. Now, guys, after the EC2, which is a computing service up in place, now let's move to the another storage service we have into the AWS. But one of that is great, exactly, Raghu, is one we have, which is called by the name of the S3. Okay, AWS S3. I hope everyone has used Google Drive, OneDrive, correct? At some point in time. Okay. And first of all, let me just speak clear till here that in when it comes to the respective AWS guys, S3 is not the only service for the storage, right? Let me just be very clear with it. There are multiple other, I would say, services as well. But S3 is the supreme you can think about. Okay? In this respective case. It's the absolute, and it has a lot of flexibility and all kind of stuff. Okay. So I just hope that everyone is aware about the respective Google Drive. Yeah, Shraddha, correct. Okay. So let's suppose, for example, we have the Google Drive. What is the use case of this Google Drive and the OneDrive, guys? Can anyone help me with it? What is the use case of the Google Drive and the OneDrive? Why we use it? To deploy any server or anything like that? To store the data, correct? And it has its own set of a benefits when we store up the data, like the backup. Okay, these kind of a benefits we have. when we're storing up the respective data into the S3 part. Perfect. So you will say that, okay, Amit, if S3, sorry, Google Drive or the OneDrive is already there, why in the world we have an S3? So for to, and it's absolutely a genuine question, and I have to be very frank with you. This is the kind of a question which I have witnessed a lot from my respective client, right? Okay. That Amit, that all if Google Drive and this thing already is present there, man. Why in a world are we focusing upon the S3? Because let me just give you a context of it. So when you upload your respective data into the Google Drive or the OneDrive, tell me guys, are you encrypting or is your data getting encrypted in the Google Drive or the OneDrive? Encryption is very important, right? It protects us from the unauthorized access. Okay, you guys saying no. But I would say, man, yes, the data gets encrypted. But with a twist, right? A very interesting twist is there. It's not you who is doing the encryption. It is the Google who is doing the encryption. So how it works. So just kind of an overview. So let's suppose, for example, I would say I uploaded my respective data to the Google Drive. Okay. Now, what is going to happen up is that Google is definitely for sure, guys, is going to take my file, and based upon that, it is going to encrypt, or first of all, it will create the key and use this key to encrypt the data. Okay, completely makes sense. For the encryption, we need to have a key, correct? Whether you choose symmetric encryption or the asymmetric encryption, fine. So, what is actually the case or the scenario we have here is that, you know, um, yeah, is you upload the data into it up in place, it gets encrypted, fine. But now the interesting thing is that the key that is used to encrypt the data will be stored by the Google himself, right? It will not be shared with you. That is the reason many of you have said no, that Amit, we were not, we are literally not um, involved into any kind of an encryption, man. Fine. And that's absolutely true. So encryption is happening up definitely because data, uh, Google can also be hacked and all kind of stuff. So they are literally protecting respective data. Fine. Okay. But the interesting case or the interesting situation is that the key they are using it up, they themselves create the key. They themselves, I would say, store the key, manage it, maintain it, and all kind of fun activity, they do it up in place. Okay, they are not involving you in this respect. Now, guys, tell me, is it a great idea that someone else is creating it up, this thing? What do you say? What are the problems you can face it up? Can you just name some of the problems? I can say that I can just a counter for that. I can say, it's good, man. They are more expert into it. They are the one who is managing the encryption and all kind of stuff. They have technology. They have um, a group of engineers for that, right? Fantastic engineers. They are good with it, right? Amit in itself cannot handle its own data. I think Google, a $1 billion company, can handle it up in place. Another kind of an issue that can arise up in place. Let's suppose, for example, I just say something very, very bad or a kind of a dissent voice with my respective government. Okay, just give you an example. And it happens up across the globe. What happened in that respective part is, irrespective of your, political ideology and this and that, the government can say that, okay, Google, this Amit has a respective profile or an account in your uh, ecosystem. And I see that he has already some almost 10 GB of data into his respective Google Drive. Hand over the keys that you guys are using it up to encrypt Amit's data. And in that respective case, they will have to, right? If they want to operate in the respective geographical location, they have to surrender the keys to the government, and then the government can literally, legally, I would say, spy upon up in place. Okay, and see what the data is all about. Fine. Okay, and this has happened up. Fine. Edward Snowden. It's a very, very interesting case. Let me just show you an image of that man. Okay. So I hope this clicks. Edward Snowden. This is Edward Snowden, guys. A computer genius, right? This individual. I hope from the image now you're getting up an idea about it. This person was working with the National Security Agency, right, for the United States. Okay, he was born in the United States and he was a great genius, guys, right? Movies and books are there as well for it. You can witness it up. But the problem started, this guy has some democratic values. So the moment he sees that, man, that the US government is operating a full fledged, you know, he's kind of, I would not say Shraddha leak data. Um, so he sees that the US government is having a full fledged operation, a surveillance operation, right? Not just for his country people. They are literally monitoring the citizen of the US as well as political and important figures of other countries as well. Fine. So it's like a humongous surveillance going on across the globe, not just in the US, but across the globe up in place in the name of security, right? So what he did is that he just collect all the documents, okay, and he just ran away. He just goes away from the US and he hand over the all the reports to the Bloomberg, and then right now he's in asylum in Russia, right? So we are aware about that in the name of national security surveillance and a lot of other things. It's absolutely possible that your keys can be handed over without your respective consent to the another party up in place. Okay, so that's the thing. Correct? Okay, that's the one of the big problem in the Google Drive. But when it comes to the S3, man, that is not the issue there. In the S3, literally you can have your respective keys. You create the keys, you encrypt your data with the respective keys, and you keep it by yourself. You're not sharing with anyone else. So it means that AWS has literally no idea what is present in your respective Google Drive. Sorry, in your S3, right? So definitely for sure it's increases the security massively, right? That's the one thing. Okay. Another benefit I would say is whenever you're storing up the respective data, guys, in the I would say Google Drive, let's say Google Drive or the OneDrive again, for example, do you have any sort of because Google and OneDrive has servers to store your respective data across the globe, correct? Do I know that the Google server is physically present where? It could be present in Brazil, right? A Google server in Brazil physically, and my data would be stored up there, or in let's suppose, for example, in China or somewhere down the line, right? So we don't have exactly, guys. We don't have any kind of control, right? And that is a big problem. Okay, why it's a big problem? Because man, what can happen again? The same issue. What if there is a server of Google Drive or the OneDrive or any other, or let's say Dropbox, anything in Brazil? Let's take an example. And I'm an Indian citizen. I'm present right now in India. Okay, my data is stored up into the Google in Brazil servers. Fine. Now what actually happens up in place is that because the server is physically present in Brazil, so definitely for sure they have to fulfill the Brazilian laws. Now the Brazil government makes a rule that whatever the data that you have in your respective servers, OneDrive and the Google Drive, you submit it to us. Okay, so they are doing it for their own safety. I can understand, but I am a foreign national from their point of view. Why my data is getting scanned or being surrendered to another government? It doesn't make sense. If it gets surrendered to Indian government, I can challenge it into the court, right? Okay, that my privacy and this thing is getting compromised. Do something about it and this and that. Fine, but it is getting submitted to another country far apart. So it's becomes very difficult for me to even challenge it up in place. Another big problem. That is the reason, guys. These are the big problems we have with respect to Google and the OneDrive. That why many companies, the corporates, don't go with the respective Google Drive and the OneDrive when it comes to storing of the sensitive data. Okay, that's the case. So S3 provides this option for us for the encryption option for the availability that you can store the data wherever you want. Fine. Those kind of things you can have it up in place. Okay, great. Perfect. So that is what we have in the S3 part. Okay. Before jumping into the S3 part, guys, I hope you're getting an idea that it's a, well, I would say, just keep in mind, right? Okay, it's just a funny word. Big brother of Google Drive. Google Drive, whatever the functionality the Google Drive and the OneDrive are providing it up, more security features, more availability, backup, lot of options you're getting it up when you switch to the S3 up in place, right? So just kind of a correlate with that, okay? And another big point, sorry, I missed that, is guys, how much, let's suppose for example, we need to talk about the Google Drive, how much of a data I can store it into the Google Drive, maximum paid version, I would say. This is the actual document I have from Google, and it says that these are the options you have in place. Like 2 TB, they are providing it up for this much of. This is for my local currency, fine, and that's the maximum. See how much? 2 TB. Okay. So yeah, it makes sense that okay, Amit, from personal capacity, it can be that 2 TB for an individual, again based upon the job profile and this and that, uh, 2 TB can be sufficient for many individuals, correct? Okay, and it's paid. This much amount of money I have to pay it up every month. Okay, completely makes sense to me. But now, guys, in a corporate, in an enterprise network, what do you think? Is it 2 TB is enough at the enterprise level? Absolutely not. Correct? Okay, it's not possible up in place. Trust me, to be very frank with you, in the InfosecTrain as well, we have a lot of data which is more than 10, like 100 TB up in place. So Google Drive is of no use to us. Okay, in that particular case, we have the S3. In the S3, man, you have unlimited. I repeat, unlimited storage you have in place. No question asked. You can store as much into it. Okay, definitely for sure. How much you're storing it up in place, you will pay for that. No, definitely for sure. Okay, but be aware about that. That it is literally unlimited into it up in place. Okay, that's the case. Perfect. So let me just draw up a diagram for the S3 part, guys. So this is the S3. Perfect. Okay. So this is your respective S3, guys. Okay. Now, guys, I have another question for you. Let's suppose, for example, in my local machine, in my system, I have three drives: C drive, D drive, E drive. Okay, C, D, E drive I have here by itself. Correct? Okay. And I want to store, my requirement is that this particular file is there, F1 file is there. I want to store in my machine, but I don't want to store it up in the drive. Is it possible? In my local machine, if I have C drives, I have to eventually select it in either into C drive, D drive, and the E drive up in place. Fine? Okay? No, Raghu, we cannot save it up anything outside of the drive. It's not possible. Okay? Same logic applies, guys, with the respective here as well. The S3, if the S3, man, if you want to store anything, directly you cannot store anything. First of all, you have to create the drives, which we call technically by the name of bucket. This is what a bucket is all about. This is, I would just give it up a name quickly. Bucket 1, bucket, bucket 1, and the respective bucket 2. Once you create the bucket, guys, then you are literally storing up the data inside the bucket. Fine? That is the case. Okay. So this is what we have here by itself. So first of all, we have the bucket one, the bucket two, and then what? So you can create multiple buckets. I'm not just to make it a little bit simpler. I'm just using it up in place. Okay, that's the case. Fine. So you have the bucket one and the respective bucket two and this respective part. Perfect. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's see it up in place. How do you actually create the bucket? And you will be literally amazed to see it up in place. How many different options we get it up here by itself. Okay. So let me just okay. So I would say that type here S3. Okay, perfect. So here we have in place is that you see that I have right now how many buckets? I have 10 buckets up in place. Right? I repeat how much? 10 buckets. And these are the respective buckets I have here. Fine. Okay, perfect. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just create a particular bucket up in place. Right? Let's click into this option of create the bucket. Another very interesting thing, just before it actually create up in place, when you upload anything into the S3, let's suppose, for example, this is S3 bucket. Okay, this is the S3 bucket, and I put a file into it up in place. Okay, now if I just want to show you something, guys, again, a very interesting thing when it comes to the S3 part. Now in this respective part, you can see it up in place here by itself. You know, fine. Reliability of the respective AWS S3 up in place. So it is designed for the availability. Fine, the S3 standard, one of the thing, is designed for 99% 99 availability. So can anyone tell me what this means? What this line means? 99.99. Is it any random word they have used up in place, or it has a meaning? How much it is saying it up right now? Look into it. It is saying 99.99%. Let's see that. 99.99, 99.99. It means that maximum availability per year is how much? 52 minutes. It's a big commitment. Okay. So it's a big commitment up in place. So you're literally saying that in the entire year you will be down for 52 minutes in the entire year. Okay, what if someone fails, or let's suppose AWS fails to fulfill this thing, guys? What do you say? What will happen? Like, you definitely for sure would be facing a backlash from the client, from the customers. But what is the loss of the AWS? SLA is the agreement, right? So if the agreement is breached, what happens then? Yes, reputation, lawsuit, penalties. Okay, that's the case. Correct. So this is the thing. 99.99 means 52%. And if I just go it up here, see that it's the standard one. There's a kind of a different categories are there of the S3 part as well. We'll not be covering it, but it's a little bit higher topic, so I'm just telling you. Okay, and there's an S3 one zone IA which says 99.9. What that means? 99.9. 99.9 means 8 hours 45 minutes. It means that it's saying it up that in the entire year, per year, right? That's what the heading is all about. It's saying it up that in the entire year, 8 hour 42 minutes you're choosing it up. So this is what it means. Many, I have seen the client as well. Whenever they are just working with any other vendors, they just make randomly this respective statement up in place, right? Okay. One of the company which was I was consulting up in place, they made a claim, or they made this commitment to a pharmaceutical company or some hospital was there, right? A medical institute, that they will be providing like 99.99% availability up in place. I say that, man, you're literally saying this 5 minutes. It means in the entire year, the servers should be down for 5 minutes, not more than that. This is the maximum you have in place. If you fail to provide such good availability, in that respective case, man, you are going to face a lawsuit. Okay, fine, be prepared for that. So it's not like you cannot achieve it. In order to provide this level of availability, you have to have a lot of infrastructure investments. You have to create multiple backups. Okay, you have to think about worst case scenarios, right? That kind of thing. And to have this level of availability in that respective case, the cost is also going to be high. Fine, because you're replicating, literally, you're replicating the data in multiple different location. That is what we have in this respective part. Fine. Okay. So this is the whole story with this respective thing up in place. That is the respective meaning of 5 minutes. Fine. That's the case. Correct. So it's not like it's not achievable, but it's expensive. The higher the cost, the higher is the availability. The lower the cost, lower is the availability. Okay, perfect, right? So we have this different options up in place. Whatever you want to choose it up. That's a little bit of an advanced topic for the S3. Okay. And another thing is that when you deploy anything into the S3 part, it is by default. I repeat, by default, it is replicating it up in three different locations. Your data for, and this is by default, right? Let's suppose, for example, right now I just go to the respective AWS S3, and there by itself, what I do is I upload the respective data to the respective S3. So S3 by default would be replicating, would be creating three additional copies in different AZs up in place. Okay, that's the thing. So this is what we have in this respective part. Fine. Okay, and this is by default. You can, if let's suppose, for example, you want to create additional replications and all this kind of stuff, you can absolutely do that. But that will incur the cost. This will not. This is by default and it's free. Okay. But if you want to increase your availability even further, let's suppose, for example, you have certain data in North Virginia and you think that, okay, man, what if the entire North Virginia goes down? Again, as I mentioned to you, you have to think about worst case scenario. So if it goes down, what you will do is that you will copy the data or keep a backup of the data in Mumbai or in the Tokyo region. So you see that again the cost increased because now you have replica in two different other locations as well, right? That's the whole point. Okay. So this is by default. Perfect. So let's go, guys, and let's create a respective bucket, and let's see that how things works up in this respective thing. Okay. So here it is, and I'm just going to give the name of the bucket. Let's suppose, for example, I would say Amit bucket. No, Raghu, it will not be replicating in three regions. It will be replicating in the three availability zones in that region. Okay. Let's suppose, for example, I create a bucket in North Virginia. Fine. Now, when I upload the file into that particular bucket, it will be in the backend. And first of all, you will never see those respective backend. Never. Fine. In the backend, the replica would be just kind of going to one availability zone each in North Virginia only. Right? Okay. So let's say just give it the name Amit Bucket 1. Fine. Object ownership, I would say enable. Fine. Block access means that do you want to make it public? I would say yes, sure. Because by default it is private. So I would say I want to make it public. Versioning is another concept you have in place. Versioning is this is a similar concept I would say close to, which is like we have in the GitHub. How many of you have seen in the GitHub the version control, like what that means, that statement, version control? Is anyone aware about that? In the GitHub, what is a version control is all about? Yeah, version of the software, version of the codes as well. Correct? That's the thing. Okay, fine. So that's also the feature we have in place. And now, guys, see here is the option of the encryption, which we don't see in our respective Google Drive, which we don't see in our respective anywhere else, like a Google Drive or your OneDrive or anything down the line. Okay, fine. That's the case. So you have multiple options. We are not going to this different options we have here by itself. Okay, but here is the catch. Fine. So server-side encryption and these all the different options you have in place. So do I choose the best? Okay. So I'm just going to keep it. I'm clicking to create the bucket. It says that the bucket name already exists. Now this is a very interesting thing. I get an error, and let me zoom into it a little bit. Okay, it says that bucket with the name already exists. Fine. Now guys, tell me, let's suppose, for example, if I have an email ID with the name of Amit at the rate gmail.com. Okay, this is what I have in place. Can anyone else, can any one of you can create the ID with the same name or with the same this thing? Yeah, yeah, Riji, we are right. We are. I just want to make it public. It's completely up to me, man. And if it's public, it's not like everyone would be able to see it. You cannot see anything into the bucket. Fine. I can control it through the policies, through a lot of things. I can control it. Okay, that's the case. So this is the one you have in place in this case right now. You cannot have it. Fine. No one in the entire globe cannot have this email address in the Google. Same applies, guys, here as well. There cannot be two buckets in the entire AWS global infrastructure, entire, irrespective of what the account is, what the region is. It doesn't matter. Oh, fine. The bucket names is unique across the globe. So it's Amit bucket 123 something something. This is what we have in the bucket name, right? Okay. And object ownership we have in place. I would just keep it everything as it is. Click into the create a bucket. Now I'm creating a bucket. So a bucket has been created. This is the bucket which I created, guys, just now. Okay, looks interesting to me. Fine. So lot of options we have here by itself. Like I can, as Riji just rightly answered up and please, Amit, you're making the bucket public. Is there anyone that will be able to infiltrate into it? You know, man, that's the thing that why companies use S3 because the level of control they provide is remarkably great. Okay, let me tell you how S3 is somewhere down the line is part of our life as well. How many of you has heard about Netflix or use it? Netflix or Amazon Prime? If you have used ever Netflix or Amazon Prime, fine, they are using up the S3 in the backend. Okay, that's the case. Fine. And because Amazon Prime is also, you know, Amazon and AWS are the same company, Amazon Prime, so it makes sense. Fine. So why they will go with some other, third party. But Netflix is a different company. And trust me, man, Netflix does not have its no on-prem, very or even very, very small. There, all the infrastructure is over the AWS. And all the movies, web series, everything you're seeing it up, it's over the AWS. Fine. So that's the thing. Okay, they are the biggest client of the AWS. Okay, so S3 is there, and let's suppose, for example, I go to the properties part. You see that, just a minute. I think it's in the permission. Sorry, my bad. So it says that it's public block or public access off. It means it's public. Okay, and I can define the policy as well here by itself. In the policy, I will say that okay, even if the bucket is public, when Raghu want to connect to it, allow him. But when Amit wants to connect to the bucket, disallow him. I can write that particular policy up in place. Okay, we'll not be doing that, but we can do that thing in this particular part, right? Okay, that's the case. So a lot of things we can do. A lot of controls we have in place, like codes control up in place, access control list, object ownership, plenty of it. It's not like your respective S3, sorry, your Google Drive. Google Drive is pretty straightforward, right? You can just teach someone the Google Drive in a short period of time. Just copy, paste, clear the folder, XYZ, and the job done, right? But, man, when it comes to the respective S3, it takes a time to a little bit understand all the configuration up in place. But it will be worth it, right? Because the level of encryption it gives to you, the level of control. And guys, let's suppose, for example, this is my bucket, correct? Okay, I'm uploading a file here. Just give me a minute. Let me check if I have a file right now. It's simple. It's drag and drop, right? I think so. I have a file. Just give me a minute, guys. Okay, let me just check it out because I want to show you something as well. Okay, this is the file which is having a content that this is Amit. Okay, sounds good to me. So I'm just drag and drop, simple. Okay, this is the file, file1.txt. I'm uploading it up. Okay, so file is there. You see that? I refresh the entire page. Let's give it a minute. Okay, this is the what file. Okay, great. Now in this respective case, what actually happens up is there. This file first of all is getting replicated up in place. Okay, and guys, tell me, can you tell me that location where this file is present? In which region it is present? It is present, guys, in the Mumbai region. See that? I have a control. I just give you an example of Brazil, right? That I upload the data into the Brazil. In that particular situation, what actually happens up there? I'm not the one who's uploading it to the Brazil. I'm just opening it to the Google Drive, and they by themselves is uploading it to the without my consent, without my approval, into some other servers, which could be in any part of the world. But here, guys, by itself, you can see that I have a control. I deployed it in the Mumbai region, so the data stays in the Mumbai. Okay, I can literally see that man, my data right now, this file is sitting here in the Mumbai region. In Mumbai, it means in Mumbai, AWS has physical servers, and in any one of the servers, my this file is present there. Okay, and then definitely for sure the local authorities, the government, if they find that okay, they want to investigate something and up in place, they can just ask for it. Fine. But again, the big problem: what if I have used my own key to encrypt it? That makes the investigation even more difficult, right? Okay. So this is the whole thing we have in this respective part, right? A lot of other things you can do it up with the respective SC. Let's say, for example, I want to share this respective file I have in place with you guys. So how to do it? There are multiple different ways for that. I just click into it up in place. Okay. I say that let me just click on the file first of all, right? So guys, here we have this object URL. This is a link for it. I just copy it. I paste it down the line, and I'm pasting it up as well. Guys, can you please test it out? Is it working fine? Because I'm getting an error which says access denied. Even the bucket is public, right? As one of you asked the question, but still you are not able to see I'm not able to see my file by myself. Are you able to see it? So you see that it's by default deny, right? That's the case. It's a deny you have in place. Fine. Exactly, access denied. So do you want to remove it? In that particular case, what you need to go? Object action, make it public, and make it public. And now it's public. Now refresh it, guys, everyone. You will get the message. So like this, lot of different controls are put up in place. I'm not going to each and every specific control because it will take a humongous amount of time, and to be very frank with you, S3 is a very big concept and deep as well. The whole idea of this masterclass is that you just get a little bit of a glimpse about it up in place, about the AWS. Okay, great. So this is what we have here by itself. Fine. So this is Amit. This is the message you're getting it up in place. Fine. Okay. But again, the same thing. Can you customize this message, guys? This message you're seeing it up. Again, see the level of control I have. I am the root person. I know this file belongs to me, and I'm literally sharing it with you guys. Okay. But you are only having a reader access for that. That's even more interesting. Correct? But what, let's suppose my friend is there and I'm working with him in a collaboration. Okay, and I just want to literally share the file with my friend. I can do that as well. Okay, right? So that's kind of a flexibility we have as well. So that is the benefit with the S3, guys. Unlimited storage of data, encryption with your own key. Okay, and yep, I have the flexibility. I can share it, control the access. I can see that who can access the data, who cannot access the data, right? That kind of stuff I can just define as well, right? So this is what we have in this respective AWS S3 part. Perfect, guys. Now, what we do is that we move, guys, to a service we have in place for the database. Okay. What is the database is all about, guys? Can anyone help me out with that? What is actually a database is all about? Okay, but you're saying that it can store the data, but I would say that when it comes to storing up the data, man, you can use up the S3. Why are you going with the database services? Like S3 is not a database, to be very frank with you. Fine. So can you tell me? You're absolutely correct. When you say a database is there to store the data, you're absolutely correct with it. Fine. But now the question arises, then why we need to have a database? The difference is that the database are there in place to store the unorganized data. Sorry, my bad. The S3 is there to store the unorganized data. Means random data. There is no particular format for that. Okay. You let's suppose, for example, right now I have just created this S3. Let's go to the S3. Okay. And any of the bucket I have in place, let's suppose this particular bucket, does it contain anything? Let's see. So this particular bucket could be having up some, see, file is there, file1.txt. I can have another file would be with some other format. So it is unorganized. But if you want to have the data in an organized format, for that, guys, you definitely for sure need something which is called the database. Okay. So in database, the data is stored up in the forms of rows and columns, right? That's the case. So data is actually stored up in the form of rows and columns, and it becomes way easier for you to query and get the respective response. That's the case. Fine. So this is what we have in the database. So multiple databases, again, multiple databases services we have into the AWS part. One of them, the interesting one, is something which is called by the name of a RDS database. So when we talk about the database, guys, here by itself, just give me a minute. Database. Uh, Two type of databases we have: relational database and the non-relational database. Can anyone help me out with that? That what is the difference between a relational database and what is the difference between a non-relational database is all about? Your relational database is a database which is connected with each other. Fine. Non-relational one, your tables has no connection with it up in place. Right? Yep, exactly. So we when we talk about the respective databases, guys, we have a service. We have a service, not the only service. Okay, this is a service we have in place, very famous one, which is called by the name of an RDS, relational database, RDS database. So can you help me out with that? That what is actually happening it up in the RDS database? First of all, let me just give me a minute. It's a relational database. It is a relational database, so it's kind of just as I mentioned to you, it's like there would be relations. Okay, so let's see that the RDS part. Okay, so we have this respective database up in place. Fine. I don't have any database. I will be creating it up. Again, you don't literally does not need to go and create anything. Just keep in mind, like today by itself, we have learned about creating up an EC2. We learned about creating up an S3. We learned about creating up the respective database. We are in a process of that. Anything that you deploy into the AWS, keep in mind to get rid of it. Otherwise, guys, trust me, you will be charged for that, right? So it's very important to be aware about it. Okay, otherwise you will be end up with a heavy, massive bill. So when you deploy anything, try your best to get rid of it up in place, right? That's the case. So this is what we have in place, guys. The database part. Great. Okay. And simple, straightforward, I would just choosing up the MySQL up in place, right? The version of it, and here it is a very, very interesting thing about the backup part. So here you see that the option of it, single DB. Single DB means that the only one server would be there which will be holding up the data. So guys, what do you say? Is it a great idea? Single server containing or holding up the data. What do you say? Because if this goes down, everything is gone. Correct? So from redundancy point of view, man, this is not a great option. So we have the but this is cheaper as well. Just keep in mind, okay, it's cheap because eventually you are storing up the data only in one single server. That's the case. Okay. Then you have another one in place which is called by the name of multi-easy DB instance up in place, right? Okay. In this case, two instances gets created, and I hope just just by the name it is telling you what it's talking about. Primary instance and the respective standby you have in place. Okay, that is what we have. Primary instance and this respective. So if the primary is not working, most of the job will be done by the primary only. But if the primary is not working, what actually up in this respective part, you have the standby up in place, right? The backup, you can imagine it up. But again, the same thing, man. You are replicating the data. So from redundancy point of view, from architecture point of view, it's great. But from cost point of view, it's going to be expensive, right? That's what we have. And then we have this multi-easy DB cluster as well. So here three instances get created. So your primary is there, then you have another backup, then another backup up in place. Again, replicating another multiple locations. So that's the thing. Fine. That's the thing. So storage. So this is the place where you define your respective username and a password because you need to authenticate to the respective database in order to log in. So this is the name of it up in place. This is the username, the password, whatever you want to send define up in place, whatever the password is. Okay. The hardware configuration. It's going to be DBM7 large, which is 2 core of CPU, 8 GB of RAM. This is going to be the storage part. Fine. Okay. A lot of other additional informations are there. And just keeping everything as it is, you click into the created database, right? But keep in mind the total cost is going to be this much, 472.64 US dollars. So whenever you create this, you should be aware about it, what you're creating it. Fine. That's the case. And a lot of things are there. See, you can do the encryption as well. You can perform your respective encryption here as well. You can define your key, that's the key that you have created, and you will be able to do the encryption up by itself. Okay. That's the case. And you can perform the monitoring as well. Again, the same thing. Like there's a service, just kind of a little bit of an extra information. There is a service we have in place, guys, which is called Amazon Cloud Watch, which will be telling you or monitoring the health of this respective database instances, how well they are performing it up. And if something really goes wrong, trust me, if let's suppose the server starts to fail or something like that, in that respective part, what actually happens up is that, um, it will give you a notification. Okay, that's the interesting one. Like how things are there. Fine. So this is what we have. Perfect. So this is the case. Okay, the monitoring part in place. Perfect. So if something happens up with the server up in place, it gives you an alert, and immediately you can take an action upon that in place. Perfect, everyone. So this is what we have in the database part. We will not be just creating it because first of all, a lot of configurations are there. We need to configure it, and then there's a price. This is not like when I click into create database, this is the price I will be paying it up. This is a monthly cost. That if I run it for the entire month, monthly cost up in place, right? The estimate is that this much I will be paying it up at the end of the month. If I run it for 30 days up in place, okay, so that's the case, right? So perfect. So this is what we have in the RDS database, which is a relational database, and this is it. In Aurora, what we say is that Ram is Aurora means when you just click into the option of Aurora RDS in the RDS part, you are the one who is dividing the hardware. You are the one who is defining the single DB, multi DB. The configuration part, it's your responsibility. But in the Aurora, it is serverless. Means that the hardware configuration, the patching of it, the scalability is going to be the responsibility of the AWS. So you have two options. RDS means manual, doing everything by yourself. So scaling, the taking care of it, patching it, maintaining it, monitoring it. Correct? Aurora means automation. AWS will be continuously monitoring it up in place and looking after it and managing it, maintaining it, whatever any kind of a new server they want to create, they will do it up in place. So Aurora will be managed by the AWS. If you choose that, RDS is the manual one. So whatever suits you the best, you choose that option. Okay. So if you want more customization, you go with the RDS one, right? And in the Aurora one, here by itself, you just select that thing. That's the thing. Simple as it is. It's part of the RDS only eventually. It's not like anything else, but you choose here the Aurora one. Okay, you select this, and then what happens up, man, is that a lot of the responsibility is now over the AWS. They are going to just manage it, take care of it, look after that the server does not fail. If it fails, they will, make sure that they create up a backup for that. Those kind of things. That's the case.